of them, most of my family just call me Jess.
Jesse?
Yes, guys.
So we can call you Jesse?
Yes. Yeah, 17 years old, Mexican. I can speak English and Spanish, and that's it.
Chris, Sheena Turner. Born. Okay.
Audrey Ortiz. But you just call me Audrey. You know.
Don't call me Chris.
Anthony Jordan, District Manager to the Community Board. Good evening.
Procedures on how we want to make sure everything's well organized.
This one of this FYI, we are broadcasting live on YouTube live, the live streaming, so make sure everyone's aware.
All members are requested to raise their hands before speaking or making a motion. The chair will acknowledge the participants before allowing them to speak or accept a motion. Committee. During the executive meeting, we are deliberating on transitioning the meeting attendance to actionable incentives. The committee has tasked us to compile a list of community issues and prioritizing the according to the board's recommendation. Once priorities are identified, the board will strategically, sorry, I haven't met tongue twister today, plan and organize to address these issues effectively. So,
Over to elaborate, Madam Chair? You want to elaborate more, or?
you can elaborate.
So again, so this is a board of action, as the chair spoke about, and Chairperson Aliato, that we need to be able to make sure that we're going to be doing actionable related items. And so this committee specifically serves young people or are tasked to work with young people between the ages of 16 or to 26. And so we want to make sure that that each of us are being mindful of what are actionable related items that this committee wants to work on around young adults with that age range. And so the chair is going to cover that in the conversation as you move forward. And in this committee's work, you want to make sure that you are being mindful of what is some of the things that we think folks between the 26 are interested and working on strategizing at a community level. The work of the community board is to facilitate municipal services in the city of New York. So anywhere between potholes that you see in the street to how the cars move and what direction, to how our police are providing public safety, to how interacting in our parks are clean, or our schools performing well, or other items and so on, that this committee is charged with the future of our community. You are going to be the beneficiaries of the community board. The leadership of the community board is going to be turned over to you by the leaders that are here today. And so you should be mindful to say, what kind of place, everybody knows what the word inheritance means, right? What kind of community do I want to inherit it, and what would it take to inherit that? So I think the chairperson will give me an opportunity to speak about that. And Chair, thank you for giving me this moment. Go ahead.
So now we can speak about the food distribution. I have been doing a pantry on Saturday one. So if we could, since if anything this Saturday, if you're able and willing to come from, do we keep the time 10 a.m. to until 2 p.m. Come.
We serve lunch.
We serve lunch. Any important information that we have that day, we give out as well. If we have any meetings, so we could give out to everyone that walks by. You said you was gonna come in this weekend?
Oh, this Saturday, no, because my schedule is tight.
Okay.
So I have to go on, but yeah, I've been coming on Saturday.
Yes.
And I think we've been very successful. I mean, we got over 100 people.
Yes, yes, I came the first time, then we had one, but I didn't.
And last meeting.
Yes, oh, you see it, okay, that's cool.
There's a whole lot of good.
You know, sorry about everybody had done it before. Yes, this is-
Almost, yeah, everybody's done it. Right? Now we're gonna have, we never know yet person to come out Saturday to help out. So the chair's gonna pass around a sign-in sheet for folks who are interested to serve as a volunteer. The food distribution is important, is another task that's really Jenny is working with this young adult committee and the senior committee to make sure that we live unfortunately in the most food insecure congressional district nationwide. So you think of the entire country, the United States of America, there's not more food insecure communities than this area, the Melrose, Pomerantz, and Mount Haven. So folks who are in need of food, whereas families who have housing, to families who are homeless, to anywhere else, we have the most food insecurity anywhere else in the country. Statistics have shown time after time. And unfortunately, we have the most impoverished community. People make less in the South, in this area, the South Bronx, anywhere else in the country. And so we think of that, when you think of so many things that are going on, people have to make the hard decision between providing housing for their families and food, 3 meals a day. Most of our families depend on the lunches that are in the schools or food pantries to help supplement the need for families to be able to survive nutritionally. And so we are, even though we produce the most food or so from the Hunts Point Food Center Market coming down to feed all of the northern eastern part of the country, we still have the food insecurity issue. And so the Chairperson Aliato and the rest of the leadership of the community board partner with some folks to make sure that we are doing something about that. And so the chair of this committee thought it'd be prudent to make sure that we work with our most aging population committee with the young adults to help to speak to that problem. And we're just excited about doing that day in and day out. And like the chair mentioned, it happens from 10 o'clock in the morning, the volunteers come in and we're out there setting up tables and moving and backing it back. So really appreciate all those who come and volunteer one way or another.
So Stephen.
So I hope you can make it. And
Yes.
under 18, make sure you get your mom's permission before you say you said yes. We appreciate that. Thank you, Chair.
The Doors Bronx Youth Center would like for us to host our next young adults meeting at their location, which sounds exciting. So we can branch out and go to different locations, see and speak about what they also have. I was reading a little bit about their mission, and it's to empower young people to reach their potential by providing comprehensive youth development services in a diverse and caring environment. So they do have they do care for the young of 12 to 24 to access services for healthcare, education, mental health counseling, crisis intervention, legal assistance, high school, college preparation services, career development, housing support, arts, sports, recreational activities, and all free. So that's something insane.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
What is the address?
The address is 2999 Third Avenue.
Right across the street down the block a little bit, it's a half a block away. I mean, added to that, man.
But the actual address is
2999 Third Avenue.
Okay, that's it. So the next time we have our meeting, we'll go over there.
They offered it, we're working with the chair to make sure that we can be able to find a space that works out.
Yes, and we
You guys should know about it in advance, the address, because
anything.
one of the things that added to what the chair is saying is that we want to take out our meetings on the road. It doesn't always have to happen here. We have a big district, so all committees gonna be moving in the new next couple of months. They're taking the show on the road and making sure that.
No, I'm sorry. And I also think that would be good that we actually start hosting in different of these places. So when we actually probably let kids know, we know and we feel more like connected with the people that's already in there. We can say, hey, this guy is in there. They can help you out, this program. Maybe that's how we can learn more about the resources here, so we could actually let them know. Because like I was telling Anthony, like I feel like there's really no resources to show what young adults could do after high school. And just like I was explaining to her, like, when I asked her, she didn't really have an idea of what it was that she wanted to do. So I like maybe if we start internships and stuff like that, but I wanted to get the ideas of everyone. That way we could come together and see exactly what our action could be. So that way we could face any other issues that we are experiencing.
I'm not sure if this, but should I say my name? Okay. The recording. Am I letting? I must have missed this, but what actual like tangible services does the door offer?
Their services are at the door. Young people from the ages 12 to 24 can access comprehensive services like healthcare, education, mental health counseling, crisis intervention, legal assistance, high school and college preparation, career development, housing support, arts, sports, and recreation activities, and nutrient and meals for free. Then I can something like that and see.
I mean, me personally, I'm a member of the door. I usually go to one in Manhattan because it's closest to school.
Okay.
Like you could literally like just walk in there and they'll give you everything. Food to clothing to interviewing, workforce training. It's all just space.
This is 12 to 24. And like ages 14 and 15 and 16, like they could all go out and start getting ideas and positions. But this is that, yeah, especially with mental health.
What I want to say is I agree with that, especially the internships. Many of these young people are in situations where they're looking for some kind of income. And they're looking for jobs. Where do these youngsters? That's been a big concern. That's been a big concern. When I was a 19-year-old girl, I was able to come to Third Avenue and work in some of the stores here. But I see those things are not available. And I have lived in this neighborhood all my life. I got to work at Goodall Alexander's as a 19-year-old girl. Where do these youngsters go? And I myself am going to be doing the research in our community because I want to know why is it the McDonald's is a multi-billion-dollar industry. We got one in our district, but how many youngsters from our district work there? Okay, there's a Burlington, there's a Marshalls here, but how many youngsters that live in our district actually have a job in our district? And that, because I got to talk about my personal experience. When I was a youngster, we were able to come. And, even in some of the mom and pop stores now are getting smart. They're making sure they hire somebody from the neighborhood. Okay, you see what I'm saying? And that's a smart thing to do. You put a youth in there from the neighborhood, that in itself is a way to relate to the community. And I myself am advocating for that. So I'll be bringing the youth committee here report about even opportunities because some of these youth are in a situation where they need to, especially once they reach 18 and once they finish high school, sometimes they're helping out their parents. They're helping out their families. I mean, I'm trying to be realistic about the youth that we're dealing with. And they gotta sometimes bring home a little paycheck. An internship is good, but can we get them something permanent that's secure for them? That they can come even, I remember my college days, I did work study. I always had to work because who else is going to give it to them? See what I'm saying? That we are people that, believe it or not, came from, some of us didn't have that syllabus, but I had to help out. I had to help out at home.
My mom passed away. And my dad, working as a porter, I had to drop out of my Catholic school here in St. Anselm's because I was in sixth grade. My mom passed away. I'm actually fifth. Started failing, started being a rebel. I got scoliosis when I was sixth grade. So when my mom passed away, 6 months later, I was getting emergency surgery for my back. I should have schooled the school, actually. But that was the fact. And then I knew from there, like once I finished school, that I needed to help my dad. And the first thing I started doing was working. I went from McDonald's at 16, from Macy's to Dwayne Reed. And I was just working, and I was getting $7.50, and I was still giving my father $100 just because I felt like he needed the help. We just got a house too on top of that. My mom actually applied for Habitat for Humanity before she even passed away. When she passed away, that's when they called us like 2 years later and got the house and told us like my mom was the one that applied. We got the house, and from there I was just like, my father was stuck. He was like, I can't move in there. Like what I'm gonna do is 2 little girls. I have to work, But I'm blessed to have a father that did. But I did have to work. But nowadays, and don't get me wrong, I did have to lie too when I got into these jobs because none of them wanted to hire me for no experience. I went to one restaurant, and they were like, oh no, you don't have no experience. 3 months later, I went to the same location and wrote everything that they told me to do. And they hired. And I had to get trained because it was still the same location. Like it was, it was a different location, it was a new location. So that's how I started learning. But nowadays you can't even walk into a location and just apply. And if you do, you probably have to know somebody, you have to go deeper into it. But my whole, growing up, I was working, trying to just strive and just like hustle, trying to help my dad and here trying to like make a foundation for myself. Yeah, that's not good.
Well, I'm gonna applaud you and I commend you, and you have, I'm gonna tell you now, your story does get emotional. Because you are true. You're a pioneer in your own life, you really are. I think the day will come when, I think you're on your way to be a person who, let's face it, you come from struggle. Okay, you know what hard, and I learned this even earlier in my age. To one extent, I did see a system that was either going to make me or break me. One of the two. There was no way between for us either. Okay, but and you went to a Catholic school. Oh my goodness, I know that I went to a Catholic school too. If you didn't have that tuition, they threw you out. Well, let's not even go there because we're in a meeting, okay? We are gonna have to go get pizza. We eat there forever because I know how they function. You didn't got that money, and it was only tuition you paid. You had to pay for all kinds of things, right? You didn't get anything for free in that Catholic school system. And if you didn't have the money, all they told you, well, go to another school. You can't.
No, and it's mainly because I left the middle of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Only, and it was mainly because of the bad grades. And because I didn't want my father to continue going through that pain so much. Plus, me and my little sister and the same. But here we are, and
my condolences on your mom.
Yeah,
I know that had to be hard.
No, it is hard, But she's giving me the strength to continue, and she's always gonna be there with me. And so now the actions, I wanted to see exactly what fun things that we can actually do, and where we could. The last meeting, we wanted to get the demographics, Ruby was here, of all the schools that was in the area, so we get an idea of what could be done. So that's why I had him, print down all the schools that's in the area, to see like what ideas we have to get in touch and with the schools. What do you guys think? Like, what would be an idea, a creative idea, to get in?
So are we getting in touch with these schools to invite them into the meetings, or are we just trying to like be collaborative with them?
Be collaborative, understand what is the issue, trying to pinpoint, what could we do to, progressive.
Okay, I'll tell you what's one good idea. And Stephen himself told me that, because I'm on my way to do that anyways. I'm getting ready to go over okay, this is District 7. Okay, District 7, right here on Cortland. And they can give us a whole list of all the high schools in the area, in the district. Because now, mind you, let me explain, Anthony, you can probably explain this better than I can.
Right.
But the district goes beyond the board district. The District 7 goes all the way up to Board District 3, I believe.
So the community board will oversee District 7, all of District 7, and a portion of District 9. Right, so some of the schools in the district, community school district, are only sees primary, which is elementary, and secondary, which is junior high school. And they only have one high school that reports to the district superintendent. The rest of the schools that you see there in that list are all the high schools that are in our district that are left that report to the borough superintendent in charge of high schools. So those are the schools that are left from the one high school that reports to District 7, because it has sixth grade in it, and it goes all the way up to 12th grade. And then the rest of these are all 9th to 12th grade that are in the borough superintendent's office, which is a separate superintendent that's all the way up on Fordham Plaza that are in our community board. So if you look at the list you have here, I think it's about what, five schools with the addresses that all report District 7. So to add on what the chair is saying, that the grade that this committee deals with is, or the ages, is 18 years old, usually when someone is leaving out of high school. There are several issues that we want to know what you are doing, actionable items. I have the permission, chair, to look at what are some of the things we need to do to focus on what these 18-year-olds who are coming out of high schools are. There are tangible action items that we can work on. For example, there are some statistics that are out there that are concerning, as are our high schools preparing our young graduates for college. There's a high instances statistically that says that students who leave our public high schools usually have to take remedial courses in college to order to be on a college level. And so that statistically is saying that our college students leaving out of public high schools are likely behind academically, whether it's reading or math. And so therefore they're lagging completing college on time, or usually they're not as engaged because they're lacking, the professors may have to spend more time getting them prepared to be college ready, quote unquote. That being said, there may be a conversation or actionable item this team wants to work on, and how do we make sure we prepare our 18-year-olds leaving out of college to, how do we challenge our schools to ensure that they are preparing our young people for college? And are all our young people or all our high schools having college-ready conversations with our seniors? When I was going to school, remember years ago, there was a college and career counselor that was talking to, when you became a 10th grader, it was talking to you early on about getting you ready for college. How do you fill out the college application? What do you want to do? What careers you're going into? How do we prepare you to ensure that you are, writing your letters to with your application to get into a private college, or is a CUNY system there, so that those conversations happen? Or what are the scholarships looking like? Because college is becoming more and more expensive. So are we making sure too that we are preparing, are the colleges or the high schools preparing our young people to be ready to start looking at paying for college? Because again, as I talked about food insecurity, home insecurity, some young people don't have that acceptance in themselves to even think about entering college, causing our families to have more financial burdens. And so that's why folks are not even thinking about college. But we know that some careers require that sort of education. And it's a struggle enough to finish high school, because high school is tough. And for people, especially when you're trying to speak English as a second language, or you're speaking, whether it is because again, what's good about this district We are the melting pot of every culture throughout the entire world. Folks from Africa, folks from Haiti, folks from the Dominican Republic, from Colombia, Cuba, and everywhere else that is not directly connected to the American mainland. So there is something to say about excellence as someone who is learning English as a second language. You are already fighting the odds, and to complete high school is an amazing task that you're doing to reach that. Because then also sometimes you have to go reach back and teach now the younger person. But like, oh, this I gotta finish this. I gotta teach this person. So you're taking on a task that's almost let out for adults, but you take that on because it's family. Family is the most important thing, right? That's what they say. So you go along with
That's
that.
what they say.
That's what they say. So you go along. As they say, family and mom, and you want to help mom and dad do your part. So, are we preparing our young people though to even think about college? Are we having with the families those kind of conversations? So, as the chair, what are we to print out all these high schools, not to just engage them on one level about, but is your school making you ready to be talk about your career, talk about your higher education, talking about things that are important, like being civically engaged, joining committees at the community board, or even talking about voting. So there's a lot of things, actual items that could come from that. It's that conversation. So I thank the chair for giving us the task of where the high schools at Anthony, where the demographics, and make sure that so that we can start having these conversations with young people like we are today who joining us at this meeting to say that, hey, you guys got introduced to my mom, and my mom said I should go check you out. I came to talk about one thing, but now I end up staying for a meeting. But why not, right? So that's how we engage young people, where it was through your parents or through having these conversations. Let's go. Thank you, Madam Chair.
One thing, oh,
So, uh, I think, a big piece of this is that a lot of youth are in the public school system, and then they're coming out of the public school system, and there is an education about their rights, and it's rights in general, like whether it's labor rights, whether it's tenant rights, whether it's their rights as like citizens or, like civic or whatever it is, and I think there is like a couple one there that we should like table for research and development at some point, like to see if there's like organizations in the area that can offer that kind of assistance to these schools, because on the point of the melting pot, there's a lot of immigrants. And these are students who are going to these schools, and they might very well be first generation, but they live with the stigma of like, oh well, maybe I don't have rights, maybe I shouldn't apply for this college because it might impact something with my parents. Even if you go into the job market and you try to get a job, like, and this is like a trend I think across the board, not just exclusive to the South Bronx, but there's a lot of young people who are just like, you know what, like I rather just follow orders, be obedient, because I want to get paid, that's all. And you don't know how to observe their rights, even in the workplace, or even as a tenant. They might not even know how to go about like applying for NYCHA. There's a lot of NYCHA buildings here. You might not know how to apply for housing tenant. And so like, I think even speaking more broadly as to like what young people are faced with coming out of high school, like preparing them for that world that they have to confront, that could be so overwhelming and could lead to a lot of mental heartache and whatever it is, So that's one piece I wanted to mention. And then the second piece is I think there should be, we could table this for like the next meeting, or maybe we should live here in a new business, but more workforce development programs for people coming out of high school, 18 to 21, and even maybe 24, so that people can like get that counseling, they can get that training that they need to get a job, to find a job.
So how would you, all right, so now that you mentioned that you won't get to that together, how are you going to reach them? So this is why I did this. Because if we're gonna reach the ones that's out of high school, we have to at least reach them when they in, so, because then after high school, they gone, we know where they at. So so that's how it's the school, so we could start like maybe doing like, actions and projects, maybe we can host meetings at the schools. And like, let's say we could do, if I have my meetings once a month. So for example, maybe not this one, not the one that's coming, but let's say for when it's getting hotter, let's say, we could go to one of the schools and we could get all the resources that there is, right? And the area that provide it, like for example, where we go on the door. We can go to the schools and say, like, there's these programs that show you, all these things. That's something that you, like, how would you like to touch
It's
the
both.
list?
It's both. Both. I think with the first point I made, like that speaks directly to that. And it's like more generalized education on like what people are impacted by.
And even we try to like watch the videos of like tournaments, maybe like basketball, because they, well, this is right here for housing, so you guys need help with housing, so this right here is for
No,
like something that will bring them together so they could see what's out there for them, so we could, like we could show them like, okay, after this, or even about the room.
it could be mutual fair.
Yeah.
And we invite the organizations that offer these services, and then we support the outreach. We go to these schools and we promote this fair that we're having. I think things don't end and stop at the fair. I think there should be ongoing connections with the parent coordinators of spaces, in the schools and the students. But it could culminate to some sort of fair, or that could be like the first ask, the first tangible action, right? But yeah, I agree. I think I see what you're saying.
That's probably getting all the organizations. I mean, are we able to branch out to that organizations outside the South Bronx, or they all have to be strictly in our?
So if they service the South Bronx, that's important.
So if I know an organization in Manhattan,
That serves people in that district, then
Oh.
that's fine.
okay,
So as long as because some people have boundaries in areas, so it depends on. I don't want
okay.
to miss the other questions.
Oh, yes.
I was going to say the same thing. I had wrote that at the beginning. I was like, we should just have like a college career fair and invite where here, invite organizations that support with like, applying for schools. Maybe they can show them like some resources for scholarships, things like that, educational resources, because a lot of people have like IEPs and things like that. So things that would support that. And also trainings. Like me personally, when I was in high school, that's how I started getting my jobs without continuing my education immediately, because like I was doing a lot of internships. Like I was interning like the tutorial's office, and I got to intern at like nonprofits. I was interning at action organizations and stuff like that. So I could kind of get a feel for what I like. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, and there's a lot of jobs that I see because of like the youth job postings that are only hiring people that are in high school, So those are also like good work opportunities too.
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do, and I think this is gonna work hand in hand with the community board. I am part of the leadership board at the Bronx Defenders. We deal a lot with the criminal justice issues, but one thing that I found very valuable, especially with the youth, were the Know Your Rights workshops that we give to them, okay? So Stephanie, I'm gonna be in touch with Stephen, and I already have, his name is Shannon. Shannon is one of the directors of community affairs, and Carmen Pinheiro, with the Bronx Defenders right here on 161st Street. And they love to work with youth. And the good thing is that, like, we do Know Your Rights workshops with them, and they even get a little certificate, and then they mentor the other youth. They go to after-school programs. They even go to different, like now the summer's coming up. Like you said, if we have a career day and everything, we can have a little workshop session. The good thing is that, and you have like a direct attorney, that if anybody has any questions, especially with the youth, and sometimes it's even leading them into careers, but yes, let's face it, ethnic youth, and I say ethnicity, you know what I'm talking about, are targeted. We live in that kind of system. That's reality. And we have like 3 R's. What are your rights? Yes, we all have rights. We know in the United States of America. But then the reality of those rights is that sometimes those rights are not what they seem all the time. So what is my responsibility as a citizen? I'm gonna make sure I get that information out. And we teach these youth, hey, what do you do when a cop stops? What are the kind of things that you can say? And at one point, I remember we were giving out a hot number that there's a 24-hour legal system that they could even call. And at what point do you tell that cop, guess what? I have a right to remain silent, call my lawyer. Get me an attorney now. If I'm not free to leave, there are certain things that you can interact with them. We know that they're part of the system, and we know it's a system within a system. But when you go to a court of law, and now they got a recorder that many of them have to, okay, and that judge hears that you didn't provide, especially a youth, with a lawyer at the proper time, that officer's gonna get into a lot of trouble. See, I'm just giving you an example of some of the things that I think they could access, and but I saw the Know Your Rights workshop to be very valuable to them and giving them the proper information. And when we do the Know Your Rights workshops, we have on the side little tables so that could mentor them to show them, because it's not that they don't want to vote. A lot of them don't know how to register and vote. The Board of Elections isn't making that easy. Okay, they go to the link doesn't work. They have the queue. You know how technology can get sometimes. So automatically, if we have that career day, automatically somebody from the Board of Elections is going to be there to make sure that everybody who comes into that board can be registered to vote. So, but I'm going to get, and Shannon and Carmen Pinheiro, she's the director of community affairs, okay, right here on 161st Street, so they're right within the community. I'm going to have them call Stephen and the DM. They'll be in touch with you. And I think that'll be ideal for, especially our community board, to make those workshops available. And I bet you a lot of youth would love to hear about that. Okay? So I'm going to, yeah. Go ahead, Shashina. You had your hand up. I want to hear what you have to say.
But yeah, I was just wondering, so if we're engaging youth that are currently in high school, like, what would be the most appropriate time to do this? Because I know that if they're coming on site and they're under the age of 18, they could still participate in the resource fair and use the resources without a parent? Or would they have to attend with a parent? Or could it be like a trip that they take with them? Like if we're collaborating with the high school, maybe they take a trip walking down here.
Because I know we us to try to get them outside to kids. So that's why I was like maybe, coordinate with the parent coordinator of the schools to try to get a time in and when whoever is interested of their kids' future. They can participate in these meetings that they're gonna have. We could let them know ahead of time. It could be like a PTA meeting where everybody could just come to the auditorium just to hear about what we have to offer as a youth committee for the young adults, and opposed to having them come out the house, come out. Because then, some of them probably have nannies, babysitters picking them up from school, and nowadays somebody's just gonna let their kid just come over here because we said so. We're like, oh, that. Well, your mom let you like, but but it's like so.
And then it's like also like because sometimes our meetings.
Right. That's why.
And you live in, we are in the area, and this.
Right.
It's things. Do you feel safe walking home by yourself from here at 8 o'clock?
Well, I wouldn't, if I wouldn't, have kids if they younger than 18, honestly. If we make a workshop, we already probably, if we do a workshop or anything, we could already coordinate it and where it's gonna be light outside, probably in the afternoon, like a Saturday, and what we're doing, in the morning, in the afternoon, whatever tournament before it gets dark out. Now regarding the meeting, whoever could come, any high school that, that they are able to come with no problem, trust it, because I wouldn't want, God forbid, something to happen to one of my committee because they're so young, but, that's something the parents have to
And there's something else that I want to say about the school system in general. I know that our youth and the schools in our district lack, especially even sometimes with the facilities and giving students the proper accommodations when they need it. There's a big lack going on. I know that for a fact. And I was the mentor of a student one time, and it was hard to even get around to what was going on with her because I couldn't understand how come this student was like even failing a lot. And I mean, here you had a good kid. She wasn't even a hangout person. You see what I'm saying? And then she did get to graduate, but she was like stuck when it came to college. And then I found out that she actually was dyslexic and never got the proper accommodation that she was supposed to get. But you know, she suffered a lot because the teachers and everybody kept telling her, oh, you're just not trying. Or it's not that she didn't want to do the assignment, but if somebody can't read, think about it. You know what a dyslexic person is, right?
I
I'll
know
give you an example of a case that I dealt with. And once we got her accommodated and gave her even that extra time on her exams and everything, and gave her the necessary things that she needed, she graduated with a 4.0 average from hostess. The community, see what I'm saying? Because I knew she had to be smart to go even as far as she did. I'm just giving an example that I know even like during COVID, I spoke to a lot of parents that, for example, told me, and I didn't know this, like, especially the charter schools, they had to supplement the technology, you know, when they were doing like the at-home, zooming into their lessons and everything. But many of these kids didn't have the technical supplies at home, because guess what? That costs money. And if your family can't afford to get that printer and that computer and that laptop for you, not all families, especially in our district, have that kind of income. So I understand that it was a real crazy situation. They had to borrow tablets and take turns with it and everything. I heard it was a big mess in the public school system, yes. And then if you didn't get that tablet on time, because it was like a borrowing tablet situation, okay, and they would miss out on the lessons and everything. And I understand that a lot of kids fell behind in the reading and mathematics and everything. Now they're trying to work a program. The mayor's trying to work out so they could make it up in summer school or something like that. It's still a mess. It's still a mess, but I'm just giving that as an example that it was schools in our district that got most affected during, like, for example, that COVID, because so many kids fell behind, not because they didn't want to go to school, not because they didn't want to study, but if you didn't have the equipment and you couldn't zoom into your lessons and so forth, and sometimes those online courses are harder than when you go to class. Like, you know, I once took in college, back in my college days, an online course, and I found out that, boy, you have to be on top of it, because once the instructor goes through that chapter, they don't necessarily go back, and then they take credit, or sometimes you have to be more, you know, but the truth is that, and the libraries were closed during that time, because I remember that, okay, the computer broke down at home, at least I had the library to go to now and do my assignment there, but these kids didn't even have that. We only have one library in our district, Mount Haven Library. But Mount Haven Library was closed for a while. The Merrill's branch over here that's in the community has been closed almost permanently. They haven't been open for a while. There's a Woodstock all the way up Woods. I know all the libraries in there. Okay.
That's the one that went to next to St. Athanasius.
Okay.
And I noticed now it's closed.
It's closed. It's been closed for several years. Okay, so literally speaking, this whole community, and now I'm told we're bumping into District 3 and District 2. So that's between the Yankee Stadium, between the whole Yankee Stadium area and 149th Street. Literally speaking, the two main libraries that are open is the Mont Haven, all the way there on Alexander, and the Woodstock Library. That's 167th Street next to Tiffany Avenue. Got to go all the way there to out of your neighborhood or district, and then there's a Fordham branch. Then you got to take the 15 bus and go all the way to the main. Every borough is supposed to have a main branch, but you got to take that 15 bus and go all the way to the last stop of Fordham Road to go to the library. You know, go ahead.
So, I guess, so we're targeting 18-year-olds, right?
18 to 26 is the
18 to 26. So like, also like just like young people in general, like even 21, or like what are some ways we can bring that community? You know what I mean? 'Cause even if it's like, people who are our ages, so they should be participating, working adults, young adults.
With 21, the maybe going to colleges, maybe speaking to students. A cousin, maybe she would have said she would have. So maybe she can have some, we need to get, get in front of those schools.
Cause like aren't some, like for some courses or some schools, don't you need like internship hours
Right,
and things like that? And then like even like with Destination Tomorrow, I know that they're looking for like sites to host their interns and they'll pay the interns to be at the site, like. So even if it's like there's interns, like they're young people that's here already, and they're bringing people that they know. Even looking at like young action groups, like you remember the group that we saw that did the presentation during the
Yes.
meeting?
Yes,
Like those are young
that
people that are, like young people that are already interested in being involved in making decisions.
That's basically us getting involved with organizations already that already have their stuff with the youth, especially with the Muslims for like Los Quedamos really was really aligned with everything that was doing for the youth.
And something, I thought of their community director, that's basketball, and that went over a great job, you did. And I went there, and everybody on there, yes, I'm on their board also, okay, I'm one of the delegates on their board, they're Los Quedamos, but Los Quedamos, is an organization that started when this whole community was burned down. I knew the founder, Yolanda Garcia was her name, she rested in peace. The park, John Barrels, as a matter of fact, in the future, we're gonna end up networking with Los Quedamos because they're having a spring fair next Saturday, right here at the Yolanda Garcia Park on Melrose. And, okay, so I think that's, but the young guy, the youngster who gave I went to let him know, look, you did a great job. I'm really proud of you.
It's a small world because the director is my best friend. And I didn't even know them. I'm like, why you look so familiar? My best friend moved to upstate, so my father's still in. So I didn't really know what was going on with him. So when I know, I was like, no way. So when he sees, I text my best friend, like, your dad is here.
But the youngster there told me, I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. No, I was done.
But you told me, no, I was really nervous then. You told, I was really nervous, or that I said, you were? Well, you did such a great job. I told him, I was trying to let him know.
You were gonna say something.
Yeah. So, all right, well, I think in general, there should be some asset mapping.
The mapping was supposed to do as well.
Yeah, and it's just like figuring out like what are the resources available for those. But it seems to me it's like two different populations. It's like people who are on the verge of exiting high school and then people post high school, right? And yeah, like I think hostels, like you mentioned hostels, I think there's a lot of programs there. I don't know which programs exist there, but like that might be a good like start point. Los Quedamos, and there's others, right? And then I think throughout the course of the conversation, like people were mentioning how like, they were working in the district and, like working for these like businesses and organizations and whatnot. And it just makes me think about like how, like just like the employment that's available to us who live here, like how it's coming by way of like businesses who are very extractive. Like they don't belong to money. They're not by money people. They're like these are corporations and these are like I think at another community meeting, something I learned was that like a lot of the small businesses, they're not even the owners are not even from here. Like they actually live somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
that comes back to us approving funds, who comes into the community,
that's
what makes sense, what don't make sense.
When I was a kid, Congress, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
No, keep going, keep going.
Yeah, so,
Go ahead.
and so like, basically, like, it makes me think about, what kind of programs could we be offering? Like, I know Green with the Cooperatives, they have a development program. When they bring with the cooperatives, they encourage young people to apply for the program so that they can build their own businesses. And these are cooperatively run businesses. There is the Business Outreach Center, BOCnet. I was walking by there and I saw that they had an office here, the BOCnet. Yeah, and they have a lot of resources that they can offer people who are interested in starting a small business. And so I don't know, I think in the course of like talking about like a career day or something like that, or a fair, like there should be resources explicitly catered for like for that kind of stuff. And it should be like for people who are like 18 and older.
Maybe we could gather all, maybe that could be like what we do on the next meeting, everybody bring in all the resources that they know of and we could put them together. Get a big map like that, put them exactly where they at, and then we could plan the action of how to engage in them. So that's what we could do, bring in everybody that knows all the resources, all the organizations, like Know Your Rights, all the Bronx Justice, everything that, entrepreneurs who wanna open up their own business. We could all brainstorm, bring it all together, and then get that map, maybe we could get that map, like I said, pinpoint where everything is at, and we could just road trip, but go places to places and try to just recruit and get everybody to come together so that once we get and meet all the organizations with the team, then we could build the career fair and where we could say, hey, what's the biggest park we got, St. Mary's?
In the
In this
district,
district.
yes.
Then we'd be like, hey, let's do
Career
a
resource fair.
career day and where
Resource.
we bring in everybody from, let's say, we could even do like five organizations in different, this won't be too full. But and then it will lose track. If we get like 5 important organizations to come one day and where we let them know, like, hey, we'll do that. Right? I think we'll get it all together. So then that could be in the next meeting. Everybody just bring in all the resources that they know. And then we put it down on the map.
If we do that, can there be like, if we're gonna all bring in like a list of resources, can there be like a time limit? How much we could share or how much time we spend talking about each organization on our list?
Yeah, I'll say that if anything we could we could put a like everybody could just say briefly in a brief summary of 2 sentences exactly what this organization does. And then, we just, unfold them.
Okay. And I think a certain amount of community advocacy. Like, again, when I was a kid, that was back then Congressman Surratt. And he made sure that 20% of those jobs from Alexander's went to the youth. And he made sure that he would send the working papers there for your parents to sign the high school. Okay? Well, back then the city councilman was Carmen Arroyo. But it's almost like we've had to be proactive, like even now with the apartments and housing, we're like, guess what, 30% of that. We know you want to build a condominium because you're a profit-making industry, but 30% of that should go to the people in the neighborhood. There are a lot of youth who are looking for a place to live. And there are a lot of youth that need some kind of rent-stabilized apartments when you're first starting out there. It's just not senior citizens. Well, okay, now they make sure that 20% of those apartments in the loop are being given to like the veterans, but it was the councilman who advocated for that. And it was because enough people got together, wrote a petition and advocated, us being the community board, and I know politics was never a clean game, but the truth is the politics is a part of all of us, So I think that's part of that now the 3 main colleges that are in this area, Hostess Community College is a CUNY school. And it's a 2-year school. My understanding is, correct me if I'm wrong, if you graduate from a New York high school, you are guaranteed admission into a community college, into a community college. Does that still stand?
I'm not sure if that's.
Okay.
Correct.
I'm gonna check on it. I'm gonna be going to the Board of Ed at District 7. I'm gonna be checking up that information. Because at one point, almost 10 years ago, you see, I didn't have always gray hair. But at one point, if you graduated from New York City High School, you were guaranteed admission into a community college. I don't know if that still stands, but we got Boricua College, we got Metropolitan College. Okay, so again, we're talking about a career day. I think those are three main colleges, even in the neighborhood of our district, that definitely should be present.
Yeah.
Okay, and also,
We have to write.
yeah,
Well, maybe you should write it down, so then when we're presenting next week, you could advocate more for why you think it's important for us to reach out to those colleges. Cause, now we're wrapping up.
quite simple, because they're in our district. But, yeah.
So whether we don't, sit there to.
I mean,
So as I understand, so I know that you want to wrap it up, Madam Chair, is that the action items of this committee, one, to be able to develop an asset map that determines what resources there are in the community, so that we have a resource map, manual or resource map to be able to refer people to programs and services and institutions that are in our district. Two, to develop a voter registration drive so that we register our young people at of the appropriate age. Three, to ensure that we develop a plan on how to integrate into our high schools, to talk to our 18-year-olds, and ensure how schools are preparing our young people for college readiness. And then four, which is a larger lift, is to develop our career and resource fair, likely in a public park, where institutions that we have identified on the asset map can go and table and have people in the community have a clear understanding of what resources are available to them and how they can access them, including possible work readiness, the career readiness programs, higher education institutions, youth and adult service organizations, et cetera, in the district. Is that clear?
Yes.
Madam Chair, is that correct? As a committee, is the committee in agreement? So close. Is that what the committee in agreement with? Is there anything that I'm missing? That's action items. So these items will be presented to the full board the 26th, which is, remember, the meeting's been changed from the only Thursday to Tuesday the 26th. So this week also, these action items need to have deadlines, clear, concise deadlines, so that staffing and volunteerism and stuff could be put together.
I was actually gonna ask, would it be okay for us, determine a month for when the Korean express fair meeting?
Yeah, we could actually speak on that in the next, maybe,
Can we?
once we.
He wants to give an idea now to bring it to them, so maybe the summer when we're on break.
Where you wanna, well, you wanna do it, maybe not too far from school, because it's gonna be school, they probably be everywhere else but here in August. Maybe we could do the last, maybe the ending of school, so we could still have the kids around. Because then, everybody's gonna leave us skedaddle.
I'm sorry, gonna do what?
They're gonna skedaddle.
Okay, that's not what he said.
Oh, wait, okay.
No, it's cool, that's good.
Yeah, around that time, so that way we could still have the kids, around, and the parents, because then they're gonna be leaving. If they're gonna be on vacation, they probably wouldn't wanna be bothered with the.
August is usually vacation month for most people. The chair was thinking June, if there are other dates where, remember, the board is on vacation in July, and August is back in September. So if you want to do it in the summertime while board is on vacation, this be mindful of that, like you said, that some kids may always, hopefully some kids are doing summer youth and working around. So it's where-
I mean, as long as we can have them, because
Station
we want more people to participate. And the only way is if we actually go to a school and say, hey, parents, we got this going on, and they can actually bring their kids and bring everybody, more people, more audience that we can let them know about this career fair. Unless we're gonna be walking around and then.
And I have to check and see what this, I also have to check and make sure if this is something that's passed by the board, that we also operate in the permit time. If you
Yeah,
do something in the
with
park,
permit.
with the park departments,
We did the
I'll do some research and come back to the committee and an email.
I'm open. If I'm taking a vacation, it'll be, I think, July. That'll be good. The job, the career. On the career fair, get all organizations together. That was the old business that was done what we go for. Now we're gonna adjourn,
You have to do a motion.
motion,
Second,
second.
I second it.
discussion on the motion,
Discussion of the motion,
all in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you everyone for coming. The next meeting is gonna be next month, for you. Right, well, let me see, it's gonna be, it's only one for most.